Hello guys and welcome to another track guide video, and in this one we got Autopolis with this SLS AMG. So it's Gr.4 as you can see. There are a couple of other cars that you can use as well. The first one being the GR Supra, and I would recommend for the car in the race to go with the Ferrari 458. It's the best one on fuel. This one is okay, you will have to save a little bit of fuel. I mean, short shifting usually works, but I think the Ferrari is the best one in the race. But for the qualifying, I think this car has really an edge over the others, and that would be pretty much it. So without further ado, let's get going. And let's get going with this track guide video, and as you can see, I'm using the widest possible line out of the last corner to get as much speed as you possibly can get onto the straight. So I usually rev up this car. You can kind of, let's say, just about at the rev meter. I think it's going to be fine. And yeah, this car is pretty quick on the straight, so you have to be careful about the first braking point, which is this 100 meter sign. You can brake slightly later than this one, but just make sure that you use the downshifts to rotate the car later. Brake in the straight line, just follow these marks on the road, and then downshifting into second to rotate the car, and quickly in third to accelerate. So I use the curbs. As you can see, I'm actually abusing the curbs in this point. You can use a little bit more of them, but if you go wide, you go wide. There is no coming back. So this is a pretty difficult circuit. So here, when this kind of mark gets out of your sight, you start to brake. Make sure that you brake in the straight line, and then when you turn, you should really release the brakes, otherwise the car understeers quite a lot. Here in this section, I have a couple of references. Those are the curbs, and I try to get as close as possible to the both of these curbs on the left. So in the middle of this one, I start to accelerate, and here I once again another curb on the right this time, and just try to position the car in the straight line and only then brake. If you turn and brake, the car will and might slide. I think it will slide. Here, first gear on the way out in the middle of the corner, I already started accelerating, so you can get a little bit of oversteer, and you just need to kind of get away with it. I mean, it's the best way to do it. So here, curb on the right hand side once again, just a tiny bit of braking, and in the middle of the turn I start accelerating. You can touch the curb. I think it's even faster, but this was actually pretty decent, so I just tried to carry on. I mean, it wasn't like the fastest line. You can of course touch the curb and it's going to be a little bit faster, but it was pretty good in the end. So here, 50, brake straight at the 50, no sooner, no later. I mean, with some other cars you can brake a little bit later, but I guess with this one you have to brake exactly at 50. Here, second gear, and just try to be careful with the accelerator. It can snap quite a lot, so hold it at about 70-80%. It should be fine as you exit the corner. And here, this is very crucial here. This is the post on the right. I usually brake in the straight line, not that much, but then I release the brakes as soon as I get into the turn. Otherwise, there is a very big possibility of getting a lot of understeer. So the car becomes really, really understeer, as well as in this one. So I just try to get it in here, third gear, and I accelerated a little bit too soon. I should have been more careful, but in the end it got me a pretty decent line through this whole section. And it's a very difficult one because you don't have many references. This reference is, it's kind of in the middle of the corner. I am just using, let's say, this curb as a reference point, but you should brake in the middle of these two corners. And here, exit in second gear, but be very, very aggressive because you want to get that rotation off the back end. So instead of gradually putting the power down, just put it immediately, 0 to 100 in no time. That's the thing to do here. Here, as I'm going a little bit, I would say I got a little bit understeer in this one. This is the next reference point, but I guess you can go slightly wider than this and maybe even pick up more speed onto the straight. So the ideal positioning is a little bit more to the left, and here is the point that I'm using in this one. Of course, if you take a different angle, then it's going to be a different one. Then you can start accelerating before that reference point. So it always depends how you position the car and what is the angle you're taking into the turn. So without that, I think it's going to be a little bit difficult. I mean, to find the reference in the last corner is really, really difficult. So yeah, just as I said before, if you go wide like this, then you can start accelerating sooner. If you take a very, very narrow line, then you would have to be very patient to get on the power. So guys, I really hope that you enjoyed in this one, and if you did, make sure that you hit the like button and make sure that you subscribe if you really want to. And that's about it. So until the next time, bye. 535.